This will work.
Oh yes.
So good morning to all of you. I am very happy to be here on this important occasion where we are talking of platform. And platform should be really a platform. Initially maybe a smaller platform, but ultimately more population is added, more engine bogies are added, platform may be bigger, platform may be wider. So I hope that in future this platform may be still bigger to take into its grip a large number of population and large segments. Thank you, Dr. Dilip, to have called us over here to share our views. I am very happy to see DG Ikrisat, whom we have been interacting quite often, and I know he is a person who is always talks about action and the strategies which can really meet the challenges which are going to be in coming days. With the involvement of people like Mr. Samson David from Infosys, DG Menace, Mr. V. Srinivas, my colleague Dr. K.D. Kokate, Dr. Goswami, Director NAR, Terry from University of Florida, and a number of leading personalities from University of Florida, and they are actively involved in this particular activity. Mr. Ajit Maru is well-known visionary and a person who always looks for many innovative activities. Malu and many colleagues from ICRISAT, from NAR, from different organizations, and ladies and gentlemen present over here. First of all, I would like to mention that this very important initiative. I will not like to talk much about the issues and concerns that are known by almost everyone. With the ever-growing population, with the degradation of bioresources, almost diminishing some of the resources, widening of the nutrient deficiencies, the water becoming a critical factor, population density is increasing, pressure on the land is increasing, and many other issues which now affect not only the population in India but globe as a whole. If we talk in the Indian context, you very well know that India feeds 16% of the global population, and with the 1.21 billion population, which is expected to grow even more, the country had enormous responsibility to update the knowledge, innovations, and a shift in the research and extension strategy in order to bridge the gap between the actual and potential productivity, and also with the changing food habits, which is again very important. The value addition to our produce is still very less. This again a processing sector which need to be really looked into, along with other ventures like horticulture or fisheries, dairy, and so on. In order to address all these issues, Indian Council of Agricultural Research has very well laid out the Vision 2030, and we are in the process of having Vision 2050. The Vision 2030 clearly states how we can harness the potential of our existing genetic resources, how we can harness the power of technology and synergize the different frontier areas with the innovations in ICT, GIS, GPS, and many other areas like this. This is the time when we need to synergize our efforts, and in this particular case, the component of ICT, which is really very important to take forward in a minimum period of time the right message to the masses, is really a very important activity and I think, very well thought of mechanism. Management of natural resources, the conservation, again important area by way of integration of nutrient management practices, pest management practices, integrated water management practices, agriculture diversification, value addition, energy management. So again very important with the, you can say, the energy sector, the need for mechanization and putting more and more energy in the agriculture in order to take maximum benefit out of it. Management of biorisk and institutional policies. These are the certain, you can say, points which have been very well pointed out and listed in the ICAR 2030 vision. Now, we look ahead, where we are today, what we need to do, particularly in order to bring out reforms in the higher agricultural education. If I talk about higher agricultural education in India, you would agree with me that agriculture itself, as of today, as far as agricultural education, is a bit neglected. Why I call neglected, I will just give you and cite some examples. In India, at present we have 621 agricultural universities. We have 44 central universities. We have around 32,000 colleges. And out of this, the population which is attracted towards higher education is 14.6 million in India. Out of 14.6 million population, still the percentage of population reaching for arts sector is 42%, to science stream 19.8%, the third is commerce and management, where it is 17.8%, the fourth is technological sector, engineering sector, where it is 11.2%, the next is your medical science, where it is around 5%, then law 2.5%, and in agriculture it is only 0.55%. Contrary to the fact that 52% of the population is engaged in agriculture, it provides employment opportunity to 52% of the population. The agriculture is the core of the country, and only 0.55% of the youth, I would call, which opt for higher agricultural education, are attracted towards agriculture. Is it not a real paradox? The question is how we can attract more and more population, talented students, how we can take the advantage of ICT is a real task ahead. This needs to be looked into. Out of the 621 universities I talk in general, in agriculture we have including state agricultural universities, now 65 universities, which includes 5 deemed to be universities, 1 central universities, and 4 central universities having agriculture projects. If we talk about percentage again, including agriculture and some of the universities which have been opened in veterinary sector or fishery sector, the percentage would seldom exceed more than 7%. 7% universities, and if we talk about total number of colleges constituent and the colleges which are attached in the form of affiliated college to the universities, the number becomes 426. If we take some of the traditional universities, number becomes 626 or so. Even if we take 626 or 630, whatsoever maybe, with the changing time, compared to 32,000, it's again a very minimal figure. We need to educate our masses. We need to give more and more attention to these youths who really want to opt for agriculture. Again, the scenario is where we have to train our youth to educate about the smallholder agriculture. India, is a country having a smallholder farmers. 66% of the farmers have less than 1 hectare and another 18% 2 hectares. More than 80% of the farmers or the land holdings are less than 2 hectares. How to reach large number of farming community is another task. And here is the importance of ICT and other innovative approaches. What we have suggested to bring the reform, because agriculture is a state subject under the entry 14, schedule 7 of the Constitution, and accordingly we have to see how best we can impress upon, how we can empower the large population with the innovations which are taking place in the field of agricultural sciences. We have thought and brought the National Agriculture Education Project to be supported by World Bank, which is about $250 million project, along with a number of initiatives which we have already planned for the 12th plan, which is already now operating, but formally it has to be approved maybe within a 6-month time. This initiative includes systemic reforms to have the governance and financial management systems in place, the e-connectivity, because a number of initiatives have been taken up under this National Agriculture Innovation Project by developing the e-modules for 7 disciplines and 426 courses, and this gives us a strength that how we can educate more and more students and how we can provide a interest and uniformity in course curriculum structure. Connectivity with the libraries, consortium on e-resources in agriculture, training our teachers how to have the smart classrooms, how they can use it. So not only smart classrooms, but smart teachers and smart institutions. These are the needs of the day. In order to have a global competitiveness, to bridge a gap in cutting edge areas, there is extreme need to have a faculty which need to be have proper interaction at various platforms, particularly at international level, and therefore a number of programs like dual degree program, networking of the universities, like University of Florida and other universities, they are taking, quite a good interest. And we have been interacting with a number of colleagues and scientists across the globe. And I am very happy that at present we have the students from 24 countries coming to India, and a large initiative by launching in 2008 by Prime Minister of India, Indo-African program, and now Indo-Afghanistan program. This is taking a real headway. And the objective is not only to institutionalize but also to provide a competitiveness and educational reforms in the African continent. We are working closely, and India is a lead thematic partner as far as the Earth and Life Sciences Institute is concerned. We are going to establish the seed and soil testing laboratories, the farm science centers like Dr. Kokate was talking, and also the seed production centers, and train large population so that the vast land, particularly in the African continent, is adequately and rightfully utilized, and globe as a whole is benefited. I am happy that Africa has also been kept in this loop, India, Africa, and US connectivity. I think this is very good initiative so that we can reach the masses and we can reach the population which really deserve much more attention than in previous years. Similarly, the Indo-Afghan cooperation and many other like ASEAN and South Asia, these are being taken up, and fortunately, Education Division of Indian Council of Agriculture Research is taking a lot of initiative, and Indian Council of Agriculture Research is taking ahead all the agenda forward. So my friends, ultimately what we need, because we need to have a skill, we need to have a confidence, we need to have a, build up of the management skill, not only project management, but team building skills, communication skills, a number of skills, and this is again very important, which perhaps NARD is taking up, and our institutions, all agricultural universities, our objective is to have the quality reform, quality assurance in place, and therefore not only PME cell, but our intention in 12th plan to have the quality assurance cell in each and every university, and better connectivity through video conferencing and through e-connectivity, which I have already talked about, digitalization of the library, digitalization of the thesis, many other things are going up so that we can reach the masses. But ultimately we need how we can reach to different stakeholders who are really need education. Because on one hand, we know that our graduates and postgraduates, but definitely they are not going to serve the rural population. We need to educate real technicians, real people who can go to the farmers, who can go to the different stakeholders and can really work for the upliftment of the rural agriculture. So what we really need, I will sum up with the word shelter. We need shelter, S-H-E-L-T-E-R. S means a structured course curriculum, because until we have a structured course curriculum for different stakeholders, and we need a brand A school, we cannot function in that way. Then H stands, as you know, the human resource development, which is the need of the hour, which is not happening so widely as it should happen, and the capacity building program, the quality assurance. Therefore, this is a very important activity which needs to be taken up vigorously. E, empowerment of the educational institutions, functional and financial autonomy, how we can have the e-connectivity, how we can have FMS in place, how we can have e-governance. All these issues are envisaged to be taken up in the 12th plan. As it stands for linkages and partnership across the globe, how we can have the more partners from the different sectors, as I have told you, using the benefit of certain technology like ICT or GIS or GPS or many other areas, cutting edge areas, how we can include the PPP mode of culture. The technology teaching technology innovations, success stories, and building up. E again stands for entrepreneurship and skill development, demand-driven agriculture education. Education should be really demand-driven. For whom? What is the need assessment of the population? In what shape they really require education? That is again a big criteria, and the need assessment has been done by NARP and the National Institute for, you can say, Human Resource Development. They have taken up the survey, and it has been really pointed out that we are far short of our graduates and postgraduates in agriculture. In veterinary sector, again there is a huge shortage. So we need to almost double it, but not doubling by quantity. We need to have a quality in place, and to build up that quality, perhaps we have to take many innovative measures. The modules, the capsules for different stakeholders are to be prepared and are to be accordingly launched and accordingly taken up to different end users. Then R is research strengthening building. Without a building up research strength of the particular institution, you cannot take up a good teaching. So building up of the research institution, application of new tools and technology is again the need of the hour. And if we take the center, if we take such new approaches, and if we take such innovative measures far and wide, capitalize them, compile them, and take up to the masses, particularly the rural masses, there would be definitely, with the innovations taking place, particularly in ICT sector, as it was being talked about, mobile technology and so on, we can perhaps take much more in the coming days, and we can perhaps be able to feed our growing population, which is ever growing, and not only the green revolution, we would certainly lead to our green revolution. With these words, I thank you very much, and thank you, Krishna, for giving me the opportunity. Thank you very much.